Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fun Show here at Big TV. This is the November 7th edition of the Fun Show, and with faith, hope, and determination, we've decided to open it with a rendition of Happy Days Are Here Again. Because either Happy Days Are Here Again or they will never be back again, essentially what it is. Tomorrow, I don't have to tell anybody, is Election Day, and the very, very best thing about that is that the campaign is over. Or the campaign will be over.
What if there's another letter from the FBI?
By this time tomorrow night. What?
What if there's another letter from the FBI?
Well, do you remember Saturday Night Live, and do you remember character Rosanna Well,
Yes.
Yesterday, the Federal Bureau of Investigation said, never mind. And yet Trump's still running ads talking about how they're investigating her and she's going to be indicted.
Yeah.
But that's all right. We have learned that everything that comes out of that man's mouth is a lie, including and the. If he said it, it's a lie. If he tells you the sun's up there, you better start worrying about the meteor coming in because it's not the sun.
And if he refuses to concede it, should he lose,
It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference unless, of course, his radical terrorists decide to take to the streets. But I trust the 101st Airborne will take orders from the duly constituted President of the United States. And maybe we can get rid of some of these people. A Second Amendment solution, right?
That sounds good. All right. Okay.
But having said that, I really want to go all the way to reading the lead editorial in today's New York Times.
About the new.
For those who have not seen it.
The court?
On December 13th, Vice President Al Gore, 2000, gave one of the most important speeches in American history. Mr. Gore had contested the initial results of the Florida vote count and prevailed in the Florida state courts. But the Supreme Court had voted 5-4 to end the recount and effectively hand the presidency to George W. Bush. Quote, now the U.S. Supreme Court has spoken, Mr. Gore said. Let there be no doubt, while I strongly disagree with the court's decision, I accept it. It must be resolved through the honored institutions of our democracy. You hear that, Mr. Trump?
And do you hear that, Mr. Scalia, wherever you are?
Well, the end of it says, relative to Scalia, that we have thrown the court's future as a functioning institution into doubt. So. Somehow, he's gone back to World War I.
Yes.
Well, okay, that's where.
What was the mindset that brought World War I to your mind? Trench warfare in North Carolina?
Gas.
Oh, gas?
Yeah, gas bags.
We've had enough gas bags in this campaign. That's very true.
Okay. Now, there's a guy named, his name is Jesse Edzelveda. Actually, it's a nice picture of him. He comes from out of state, but he lives in Saudi. And in 2007, the health department in Nantucket halted forced cleanouts when 3 hoarders in a row died after returning to emptied houses.
Really?
This is true.
Really?
They returned to an empty house and died?
And they died.
So, like, the overwhelm was gone. So they were in shock.
They lost the will to live.
This is the Globe, and it's a front page article, Clear a Path, How One Man is Fighting Hoarding with Compassion. It turns out that...
Boil it down to 2 sentences.
2
Good luck.
sentences. Don't evict poor people from public housing or wherever they're living if they've been hoarding. Don't evict them because
Okay, but what does he do?
he comes and he talks to them and says to them, something happened in your life that makes you want to hoard things.
That makes you incapable of parting with anything.
Right,
But,
something.
I've seen documentaries where they try to convince people to get rid of the most clearly to us useless stuff,
And they won't.
and they won't.
There's a whole series on.
But wait, this guy stays in the house. He comes in work clothes. He has a big job with this group. I'll read you the name in a little while. And he stays there and he talks to the individual. While he's talking to them, he's taking out plastic bags and says, in case you wanted, if you to put stuff in a bag, think about it now while we're talking. And he eventually, before he leaves, he has them looking at their things and picking out stuff that they won't keep, and they can keep some things. This is a true piece on the paper here, and a lot of these people become homeless. This is the only place they have to live. They have these rent vouchers, and once they're evicted, that's the end of them, mostly. But this guy has turned it around across the whole country, and it's quite an article. And if you get a chance in the Globe, it's this article on a new order. A Boston advocate pioneered human ways to help hoarders. Now other cities are following the lead.
When I was in the hospital with my heart attack, my sisters came and they hired an organizer and a cleaning crew. And
That's when you had your second heart attack.
For example, they took every piece of clothing that I owned and sent it to a cleaner or a dollar by the pound laundry.
Oh,
and
okay.
they just, I sort of know how they feel about coming home and nothing's where you left it.
Well, there you
it
go.
wasn't like I had nothing there, but nothing was where I left
Yeah.
it, which, anyway.
What do you think of this?
Appreciated
whole
their effort.
story that I was telling you.
Well, first off, there's a whole thing on cable that's about hoarders.
Yeah.
Each hour.
I know, I see it, but that's a bad thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Why is it bad?
No, she'll tell you why. I think.
I won't. I can't tell you why you think. You won't even listen to what I
I will
think.
listen. I'm going to shut up.
So what I'm saying is there's already a show on it, and they have people who are trained psychologists and psychiatrists that do something comparable, to do something similar.
He started a lot of this and helped to train and set up programs. This fella, Jesse, and he's quite a fine human being.
Okay, so we've done our homage to the hoarding man.
Okay.
Oklahoma. This had a 5.3
Earthquake.
earthquake.
Yes.
And it's not too coincidental that it was only a couple of miles away from their biggest fracking site. I have no sympathy for them. I have no sympathy at all. They have the highest rate of earthquakes in the world now. Historically, Oklahoma rarely, if ever, had an earthquake.
Yeah.
It's all due to fracking. They went out of their way to bring in fracking. It's their problem. But wait a second. We have to get to the Irish sport pages because they're very important today.
Oh,
Okay.
well, Janet Reno passed away.
Yeah, sad.
I can't.
It is.
But the Herald doesn't mention anything. I mean, I've been running around all day, so I didn't
It's
get
very
the details.
interesting. We happen to have a rare commodity here, today's edition of the Boston Herald. Just in case you're like me and weren't sure the Boston Herald was still in publication. There it is. And interestingly enough, Janet Reno, at the age of 78, the first female, not only the
Attorney
first
General.
female Attorney General in the United States, but the longest tenured Attorney General in the 20th century.
Oh, really?
Died, and the Boston Herald has nothing about it,
They'll tell you, well, we didn't get the news till
which
later.
is probably why they don't sell the Herald in Brookline anymore.
Okay.
But Janet Reno was an important person, and her passing is
it is.
noted.
She was a big woman
here.
also.
Huh?
A big.
She was very tall.
She's very tall.
Yes.
She sort of would have been on the same basketball team with Julia Child. She was
Yeah.
about Julia Child's height.
But I liked it.
I always loved being looked down upon by Julia Child.
Do you know that David Letterman grew a great big beard?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did that almost instantly.
Yeah, he says so. No one will know me in retirement. I
Is
can
that
go,
what it is?
I can go anywhere I want. I can travel. I can go to supermarkets, and he says it's liberating. The big beard that he has. So, and he's not
know-
shaving. He's shopping. He's on his own.
What's the name of the that Australian movie? Mel Gibson.
A new movie.
Mel Gibson grew a bigger beard faster. Mel Gibson looks like Moses now.
Really?
Amazing. He's got a huge beard.
Okay.
I could grow that beard if I didn't shave for the rest of my life. I
Wow.
could barely grow that
Hey,
beard.
you guys know about the porous gun laws and how it's danger for people going to polling places.
In red states, there's a lot of red states where you can bring your gun right into the polling booth.
And it's happening. People are carrying weapons and they're going in the polling.
And then what are they going to do with them in there? Shoot them out?
They just got to have them all the time.
They got to protect themselves.
You know, if they could, they'd strap them between their legs.
And
You know what I'm saying?
the
And this
Philippines.
may have something to do with the fact that a federal court just ruled today that the Republican Party was engaging in voter intimidation in North Carolina.
Very good.
By rule of the court.
Finally.
Which doesn't surprise us.
Okay.
But it's there. You know, my email has totally blown up in recent weeks, and particularly even in the last couple of days. You know, last chance, last day. If we don't get another $1 from you, we won't be able to get out the vote people in the field. You know, there's a big buy from the opponents. We need more money for ads and send money. I've been running campaigns for about 60 years.
How old are you? 65?
No. No, I'm 73.
Okay.
But I literally have been running
I
campaigns for
know.
about 60 years.
60 years. All right.
And if I hadn't committed spending the week, or certainly 4 days before the election, there's nothing I could do with
No.
that extra money except count it, stick it in my pocket, or as you said, pay down my bills.
Yes.
But all these things flooding, I mean, I can't delete them fast enough to keep them from flooding in on the assumption that my contribution at 5 o'clock today, polls open in 18 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to have this contribution today. It's ridiculous.
Well, like you said, they probably got bills to pay down. They've racked up bills.
If they sent me an email and said, in our effort to win, we have committed to spend this much money,
Yeah.
and we're $41,000 short.
We would send the money.
Could you help it out? I would contribute
I would too.
because I'd feel they were telling me the truth
Yeah.
for a change.
Okay. And then
know.
there's this guy, President Duterte of the Philippines in Manila, has sent a message for the U.S. And the message says, "Time to say goodbye, my friend."
Yeah, he's upset. He's decided that that China is a better bet for him than the U.S.
Well,
is.
he's killing a lot of. Has a policy to get rid of drug dealers, anybody that's involved with it. As a matter of fact, they shot a mayor of one of these towns.
For drug dealing?
Yeah, well, that's what they accused him of, but he had said before they killed him, I don't know anything about it, and I'm really innocent of all this, and I agree with everything.
I assume he had a trial, right?
No, they just went in there, and he objected, and they shot him.
You sure he didn't
Yes,
have a trial?
He didn't have a trial.
Okay, well, no matter what the charges are, that's bad.
That's bad.
And he would rather continue to do that than be friends with the United States.
And get rid of the
How
naval bases.
How often in our history have we invaded the Philippines? At least three
Three
times. that
times,
I
three
can
times,
think of.
yeah. Okay.
There's always possibly the fourth.
Okay.
He better not say that to President Donald, though. Herr Trump would object very much.
Okay.
And he'd add him to the list of terrorists. He added all Somalis to the list of terrorists.
Who, Donald Trump?
Yeah, he
Why
gave a
we-
speech in Minneapolis and he complained about Somali terrorists pouring into the United States and creating a danger.
Well, it's
All right,
true.
ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the big TV Unrehearsed Thespian Society's presentation for this evening, which was skimmed right off the top of the pile in the vault.
not supposed
It
to
was
say that.
also got an occasional ray of light when the vault door was opened, since this dates only to 2011. And actually,
Two ghosts.
it doesn't really have too many historical references, so I could have gotten away without telling you that.
Right.
But the name of this epic is Payment Due.
Action.
I was waiting in line to pay my cable TV bill.
Ah, what a drag.
Fine.
The cashier wasn't prepared.
Well, why didn't you just hand him the check?
Well, there was someone in front of you.
I was trying to be patient.
Oh, there's your problem.
The person contested the charges.
That's always the way.
Actually, he was quite ready,
Very good.
but the collector wasn't.
What, he went to the lavatory?
No, he spilled his coffee on the counter.
No, he just had to count the money in his drawer.
Ridiculous. That's just procrastinating.
But why?
How should I know?
He listed each coin and then the currency.
Oh, wow. And the guy before
Boy, he
you?
must have exploded.
Wanted to leave his check,
And the jerk refused to accept it, right?
so the person offered cash.
But this disrupted the collector's count.
And then your neighbors start to get nasty.
And very loud.
And you were uncomfortable.
And he asked to see the manager,
Who turns out to be the guy counting.
of course.
Well, why didn't he start the process earlier?
That's not the established procedure.
So I assume the other people started to get restless.
It was never like this in the old place.
But this is the new place.
Everything was fine in the old place.
I'm gonna be this guy. Are you trying to tell me my job?
Seems to me you should know by now.
I don't have to put up with this.
Swall, call for your replacement.
We have a procedure to follow.
What about customer service?
You know, this is moronic.
You're the moron.
We resent that.
Why don't you just use an abacus?
Now I've lost track of my count.
Oh, no. You know what you can do with your count?
And he speaks for all of us.
I may have to call security.
Good idea. Maybe he can count.
They might accept our money, too.
It's weird having to fight to pay your bills.
You're weird.
I'd like to punch him in the nose.
So what's your name?
I should leave right now.
Do you need any help?
She's protected by iron bars and the grating.
We ought to sign up with that new company.
Is that a threat?
No, a promise.
And it's totally your responsibility.
Besides the lousy service,
Do you treat all your subscribers like dirt?
some get the pepper spray.
Only if people get violent.
The world has got to learn about this.
This guy is a lazy bum.
How dare you?
And my sick mother desperately needs me.
I feel sick, too.
Now, see here.
What, more excuses?
Oh.
Where does it hurt? Where does it hurt?
I think it's my appendix. Oh.
And driving here costs me big money.
And parking isn't easy.
I have a lot of tickets.
It's my left side, I think.
I walk to work.
You might be carried out of work.
How did we get into this?
I'm sorry for the inconvenience.
OPEC is sticking to us, just like you.
Yes.
Yes, gas is expensive.
What a gas bag.
Oh.
What now?
It's the pain.
Shall I call 911?
Oh, that makes sense.
Can you describe the symptoms?
It hurts a lot when I
Forget about it.
Can I give you something for the pain?
Yes, a receipt.
stampede.
This is degrading.
Well, then how about some action?
And
It's you.
unless she's sabotaging the firm.
See, doesn't that look like your line?
Yeah.
So this is all a conspiracy, right?
I don't feel well.
We can straighten this mess out.
You're leaving?
after we help you count the money in your drawer.
Absurd.
Just press the button that opens that door.
Just go. Everybody else has.
Well, we'll take care of everything. Just cooperate.
This is wild.
Are we still failing to communicate?
Don't be difficult.
Am I missing something?
Uh-huh. Is this more persuasive?
Is that how it all ended?
I paid my bill like the others and left.
Too bad. I liked our way better.
But you can't count.
Yeah,
I thought he was sick.
he is, but it's mentally.
The clerk made more sense.
But he couldn't make change.
Well, I'm fed up.
That means he's hungry.
I just happened to have some apples.
Can any of this be normal?
You don't live in Egypt.
Huh?
Like
You write a script with somebody with a J name, and I get confused. I read anything that starts with a J.
okay.
It's very funny on this thing.
Yeah, I kept adding
The way
to it.
things go, I realize that I never use the word lavatory.
Right.
It just basically is not in my lexicon.
Okay.
I'm probably not refined enough.
Yeah.
You know. Bathroom seems to usually
It's
do.
too upmarket for you?
And if I want to not say bathroom somewhere, I usually euphemistically say, "Excuse me, could you tell me where the facility
Facilities
is?"
Well,
Go for the facility.
there's Trump's election rigging and his claim and
Oh
all
yes,
that.
yes, it's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged.
But the New York Times has some things about who's really rigging the election.
Election is rigged by state governments that did all they could to prevent non-white Americans from voting. The election is rigged by Russian intelligence, which is almost surely behind the hacking of Democratic emails. Election is rigged by James Comey. His job is to police crime, but he studies his position to spread innuendo and influence the election. It's rigged by people within the FBI.
Agents,
And
employees.
yeah, they have agents and stuff. The election is rigged by mainstream news organizations, which simply refuse to report on policy issues. The election is rigged by the media obsession with Hillary Clinton's emails. And another thing that they didn't happen to put in here, but on the day Hillary Clinton announced that she was running for president, her favorability rating was 60%.
Uh-huh.
On the day Obama announced his favorability rating was 40%.
Hers was or his was?
And the media that very day started writing
Bad
that
things.
she was unpopular.
Right.
In
Mean.
spite of the facts,
This-
they created a vision that these were the two most unpopular candidates in American history. On the day she announced to run, she was one of the most popular presidential candidates that we've ever had, who not running for re-election. And the media created this bizarre notion that she was terribly unpopular, and they just sustained it all the way through.
Kept on with it.
Nobody knows why.
She's mean,
Now, the
she's
fact of the matter is
dishonest.
her favorability did in fact go down
Yes.
after she announced, which just shows misogyny, because
Very good.
Hillary Clinton was very popular until she wanted to be president.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and now the people who had a big and favorable, though white middle-aged men who had a favorable impression of her went, "What? This chick wants to be president? No, I don't like
Can't
her."
have that.
But the media created this, and the media better not whine about it because they created
Do
it.
you think that Mr. Trump knows anything about what's happening in Afghanistan?
Mr. Trump knows nothing.
Because 1.5 million people, Afghans, are being forced out of all these countries in Europe and North Africa where they have fled to, and they have to go back to Afghanistan. 1.5 million people.
Well, then say more about the countries that are forcing them out.
this was about Afghanistan. It has to take all these people back in.
But
all.
that says more about the countries that are forcing them out.
Oh, I don't want to
than
get
it
into
says
that.
about. You don't want to get into
I
that.
don't want to get into that. No.
Well, I have one last thing to say about Herr Trump.
Okay.
Oh, I have two. One is that a German wrote a letter saying, "You better be careful what you do tomorrow, America. We've been there, done that."
Oh,
So, the last thing I'd like to say about Herr Trump is that a team of journalists, called 450 places that Trump claimed to have made charitable donations, and they were only able to confirm one donation.
Oh,
One.
one.
And this was in the last 8 years. And I find it very, very interesting on a personal note that according to his claims, which of course we can't verify,
True.
Donald Trump makes 10,000 times as much money as I do.
Well, there you are.
And yet I have contributed $5,000 more this
Okay.
year to my fellow man than he has
Right.
in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
True.
So if anybody who's out there who does not think that this man is as absolutely crazy as we think he is, I just want to warn you, with today's revelations of the two people he is considering for the top positions in his administration, he wants to make Rudy Giuliani Attorney General of the United States, and he wants to make Newt Gingrich Secretary of State.
Ah.
Can you see Newt presenting his papers in the Kremlin
Yeah.
or anywhere else?
Or in
Of course, he likes
in
Newt.
Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
he could
He
go
likes
there.
he likes Newt because Newt has 3 wives like he
He
does.
does.
You know,
Oh.
there was a very funny line recently where they were talking about the Republican convention where the nominee had 3 wives and the guy who seconded his nomination had 3 wives and the other guy who was supporting him had 3 wives, and their line was, the only guy with 1 wife was Mitt Romney, and he's the Mormon.
yeah.
Right.
So
Well-
what's new with you, Susan?
Nothing.
You don't
Well,
have-
actually, the Brookline JP Patriots D team.
Yes.
Yesterday, they won their playoff game, 33-0.
Very good. And was this in town or where?
Well, they played at Malden.
In Malden.
That's
okay.
where I think they play the playoff games in Malden.
So how many more games do they have?
Well, they
before-
have at least one more.
one more. Okay.
At least one more because they got to play next
Well, if
Sunday.
they keep winning, potentially, how many do they have?
Then I think there's something where they might go. There's a big.
Oh, to Florida
Yes.
or something like that.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, we'll be here making an appeal for money
Yeah,
to
he
get them to go
will.
to
I know.
Florida.
I know the little guy will.
I mean, a couple years ago, they did that, right? Didn't
Yeah,
they?
because
Yeah.
his cousin was on the team that went to Florida and they won 2 or 3 games, but they didn't win the whole thing, but they did win 1 or 2 games.
That's a lot of games for a team of little guys
Yeah.
to make. I still reiterate that I am not surprised if football is gone in 10 years. Maestro, play.
Okay, I was just going to tell people not to buy fake apps from China.
Play. Remember to vote tomorrow, folks. Vote early and often.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. We'll see you in our dreams. Good night, everybody, from the Fun Show at Big TV.
Vote, vote.
Get out
Okay.
and vote. Get your friends and neighbors to vote. It's important.
yeah, it is important. And we have 10 seconds left. I'm sick of.
Actually, we shouldn't. I don't know why we do, but that's all
We've
right.
got to
Zero.
stop all that profanity and sex on some tech TV series. Do you
Not
know
enough.
that?
Not enough.
Oh, okay.